Hello everybody, welcome to the Norisring in southern Germany. It's the 17th race of the season for the FIA F3 European Championship, which means that we are into the halfway stage of the season. There are 11 events, there are 33 races, and this is the second race of the weekend. A dry track now here at the Norisring. We have had a little bit of rain about an hour and a half ago, but that quickly dried up. The DTM cars mopped that up, and so it looks set fair for the second race of the weekend. And there is Alexander Albon, who is on pole position for the first time this season in the championship. He's one of the very quick rookies that comes here. He ran second in the race earlier on, but then made a slight mistake at the hairpin, ran wide and ended up in 5th place. And good to see George Russell on the front row of the grid. An excellent qualifying performance in the second qualifying session, which gives us the grid for races 2 and 3. And that sees the Silverstone race winner starting second on the grid. He and Alex Albon, both with exemplary karting careers, both nationally in the British Championships and in European competition as well. And there is Charles Leclerc, car number 7, took his 4th win of the season earlier on today. Interrupted by the safety car. There were 1 or 2 incidents, nothing major, not like we've had in recent races, but the race slightly disappointingly ended behind the safety car. Not that Charles cared, because he was able to extend his championship advantage. And one of the drivers that was caught up in incidents at the hairpin was this man, Jake Dennis, who dropped from 2nd back down to 4th place in the championship earlier on today with a non-finish. But look, there he is, positive, ready to go. We didn't see it on the TV pictures, but apparently there was a coming together between him and Arjun Maini. He was being lapped, and that was what triggered off a series of other incidents as well. So Jake failed to finish the race. He lost the front wing of his car, which got picked up by this man, Antonio Giovinazzi, 4th in the standings. One of the 5 race winners that we've had this year. The Italian picked up the front wing, and it was wedged underneath his front wheels, but rather than coming into the pits, he managed somehow to shake it loose over the course of a couple of laps behind the safety car. It proved to be an excellent decision, because he was able to stay in a podium paying position. And Dorian Bacalacci, who is the Signature teammate, who took a couple of big wins in recent years with Enno Matara at the Macau Grand Prix and the Championship, coming back to Formula 3 after a little bit of a break this season and getting their first pole with Albon. And this is his teammate, and Dorian with his best qualifying session of the year. Chris Hartley here in the commentary box at the Norisring, and alongside me it's hello to Dave Richardson.
Hi Chris, as we look at Santino Ferrucci then, who will be going from P7. You mentioned the 2 British guys at the front of the pack, Alexander Albon and George Russell. I had the privilege of speaking to both of them back in January this year, when George Russell first announced that he was going into FIA F3 with Carlin, because they were both finalists in the McLaren Autosport BRDC Award, which eventually was, of course, won by George Russell. And now we look at Gustavo Menezes, who starts from P8, and a torrid time of it at Spa just a week ago. And you were saying that the team, as a jest, have put his name on upside down.
on the car, yeah. One of 3 drivers to go airborne in recent races. But thankfully, he was absolutely fine. There is a potential driver to watch from a little bit further down the field, Mikkel Jensen, who has been on the podium this year, and he come out to Formula 3 racing. But the Danish driver has proved very quick on a number of occasions this season. He's in the top 10 in the championship, has been on the podium. He's had a little bit of bad luck as well, most notably at Spa. He got squeezed out of what looked like a potential podium finish. The Prema Power team are the team that have won the Drivers and Constructors or Teams Championships in the last couple of years. That's one of their drivers, Brandon Mazzano, Jake Dennis being another of them. And Brandon is, again, in his first season within the championship. This is the 5th season of international Formula 3 competition for this man, Felix Rosenqvist. And this, Dave, marks his 100th career start in the European Championship. Yeah.
Wow. And he's starting down there, P11. So Felix with a good bit of work to do, to be fair, from P11. He currently sits much further down in the points than he would like to in terms of numbers. It's 242.5 for Charles Leclerc, and light is failing here. I think it's 203, isn't it, for Felix Rosenqvist?
Yeah.
So,
was on the podium earlier, got a 3rd place finish from 5th on the grid. never got the chance to get any higher up than that because the safety car was out for the final third of the race, really.
And something you've said and we've both said is the fact that it's such a long season, isn't it? 33 event, you know. It's banking points, it's consistency, which is really, really going to pay off. Sergio Setakamara, the motor park driver, goes from P13. See him with his eyes closed, focusing on what he needs to do.
Motor Park very successful in German Formula 3, but that championship is now finished, so they move into the European Championship for the first time. And Mexican was on the podium in one of the races at Spa. Alicia Larande, very highly rated and regarded kart racer, like Max Verstappen last year. Hops straight from karts to cars. Callum Eilhart's another one that's done that. And he's shown flashes of pace. He's with the Van Amersfoort team, which took 3 wins out of 3 here last year at the Norisring with Max Verstappen, who went on to take 3rd place in the championship. That was those 3 wins in mid-season, added to the 3 that he got before that at Spa, gave him 6 wins on the trot, Max Verstappen. That's where everybody started looking up and wondering who this young man was. Obviously, his famous father, Jos Verstappen, well known, and of course he's now moved on to already become a point scorer in Formula 1 with the Toro Rosso team. So this is very much a springboard for the careers of these young drivers, but it is a very competitive field. There are, at the start of the season, nearly half the field was made up of rookies, which shows you that a lot of drivers are coming into this now, seeing this as the natural one of the early steps into the motorsport ladder. Yes,
undoubted. So the car's all set on grid then. They get 3 races across the course of this weekend. This is the 2nd race, and there's Alex Albon then, who will be going from P1. Alongside him is going to be George Russell. Then it is the championship leader, Charles Leclerc, who is P3.
Alex Albon, Thai nationality, but brought up in London, did all of his kart racing in the UK. Multiple champion in the 60cc category back in 2006. Won the Kart Masters Championship, the Super 1 British Championship in KF3, was a World Cup and European Cup champion. A couple of seasons then in Formula Renault racing, and in the Euro Cup last year he was 3rd overall and took his maiden car racing victory. Can he now take a maiden Formula 3 victory? He's got a chance. He's got a very good chance because he has been quick.
He has been quick. Yeah, you're right.
And also, he's going to be on pole position for tomorrow's race because he was just shaded that 2nd qualifying session yesterday. Not that there was much in it, Dave. We're talking thousandths of a second between them.
Well, track conditions, I would say, are probably just about perfect, aren't they? Now, the track has altered so many times during the course of the day today with various... There have been short bursts of heavy rain, haven't they? And then followed by blistering sunshine, which has meant the track has gone through wet and dry cycles 2 or 3 times during the course of all the racing that's gone on here today. But it's set fair right now as Albon and Russell and Leclerc then, along with Dennis and Giovinazzi, make their way around on this formation lap.
That was our first properly wet race of the season earlier on today. We've had some rain, we've had drying tracks, but that was the first properly wet race of the season. Charles Leclerc with his super smooth style, very impressive indeed to take what was really a dominant victory until the safety car bunched them all up behind him. There, a quick look at the grid. Because there are so many of them, 32 cars, and it's a narrow, tight circuit. They were divided up into 2 qualifying groups. Alex Albon's group was quickest. Well, he was the quickest driver, so his group gets one side of the grid, 1st, 3rd, 5th, and so on. And second group, their fastest driver starts 2nd, next fastest driver starts 4th, and so on. So you haven't necessarily got them in order of how quick they were in qualifying, but it's pretty close to it.
Sure.
So hopefully get to see a race finish, because you're at Spa Day, but the last weekend I did was Monza, where the last race of the weekend finished behind the safety car before it was red flagged, and the race earlier on today finished behind the safety car. So quite like to see
a full race,
a proper race finish. If you could arrange that, please,
that'd
be marvellous.
We'll try.
So there's Alex Albon, 21, the signature car on the front row of the grid. George Russell, his best chance of a win, of a podium since the victory at Silverstone. As I mentioned, he is learning all the circuits, he's learning the cars, but he keeps chipping away, and he's there, 5th in the point standing. Charles Leclerc, the points leader, Felix Rosenqvist 2nd, Antonio Giovinazzi back up to third, Jake Dennis fourth in the standings. Those four have got quite an advantage over the rest now. George Russell is fifth, Max Gunther is sixth, Alex Albon, who's on pole position, is seventh in the championship, following his fifth place finish earlier on. So they are all in position, ready for the second race of the weekend. It's the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Red lights out, race gets underway. Great start from George Russell. He's going to challenge here for the lead of the race. He draws alongside Alex Albon. It's a left-hand hairpin coming up, and I reckon he's got the lead of the race here. If he can keep it tidy under braking, Albon tries to come back around the outside of him. One of the Giovinazzi IAM cars goes flying around the outside. That might be Menezes, I think. Others going at all sorts of odd angles. One spins, others going off in avoidance. But at the front of the field, it's Russell leading from Albon. Jake Dennis tucks into third place, and then it looks like Leclerc, the race one winner from earlier on today, Dave, is there in fourth.
Yeah, that was a brilliant start from George Russell. He absolutely nailed that. Staggered grid here, of course. George Russell was on the inside line, but he needed to make momentum up, and he did that and covered that line absolutely perfectly. Gustavo Menezes, if it was him that went off, he was jolly near in Munich. He was flying through that first corner, wasn't he?
Yeah, skittish outside line, so on the cold Hankook tyres, struggling. Now look at Alex Albon here. He's got a great run coming on to the start of lap 2. He's going to have to go the long route around the outside. He's into the lead. Back into the lead then for Albon. He's a bit deep into the corner though, and he's going to give the place back on the exit. So George Russell says, off you go. You can go through. Dorian Bacalacci, his teammate, runs wide in the second signature car as well. There's another car further back with a bit of bodywork hanging off it as well. But it's Russell back in the lead. Albon second. Jake Dennis looking for his first points of the day there in third. Leclerc, the championship leader, fourth. Giovinazzi, fifth. Rosenqvist has made good progress. He's up to sixth. Max Gunther is seventh. And Santino Ferrucci is in eighth place.
Well, Alex Albon is staying very feisty, isn't he? As we get two cars together there, both from the Mucker Motorsport team. It was Santino Ferrucci and Max Gunther getting together there. They cross the timing line once again. Russell leads 4/10 over Alex Albon. And then Jake Dennis and Leclerc is close to Jake Dennis.
Felix Rosenqvist about to pounce to get himself up to fifth place. Russell runs wide. Albon gets the lead. Russell down to second. Dennis third. And then fourth place Leclerc. And then behind that, Felix Rosenqvist was the other one that gained a place on the way into the hairpin. So number one now ahead of Giovinazzi, one of course of his championship rivals. So now we got the top three in the championship. In fact, we got the top four in the championship. All there in that top six battle all together, and this is what we've been looking forward to, Dave.
Absolutely. Great stuff from the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, and there's big problems there for Ryan Tvita. Now that surely is going to throw a safety car, because the car is right across the track, isn't it?
Yeah, he's blocking the track, and he's broken the suspension on the left rear there. And because it's such a short lap, they've got no time to move it out of the way, the marshals. Ooh, careful,
now
everybody.
They're going to be unsighted here, aren't they?
Except they'll have seen the waved yellows,
yes,
or they should have, so they'll slow down. They'll know that there's danger ahead. And in fairness to the drivers, they've all backed right off there. So Ryan's okay, but he can't shift the car.
No, there's no chances. There's real damage at the back of that, isn't there?
So the safety car is not yet deployed.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed.
Safety car's probably gone on strike. It's been out so often in the last few rounds. It's probably had enough. So Alex Albon continues to lead the race. George Russell second. They've switched around a couple of times in this race already. Jake Dennis in third place.
Safety car's out now, Chris.
There you go. The Audi is going to pick up Alex Albon then. It shouldn't take too long. A few laps maybe to move that car out of the way. It's going to have to
be lifted, isn't it, I think?
Yeah. But handily, there's a crane.
Yes.
With a rather long arm and a big long winch. So Ryan Tvita out. One of the Giovinazzi IAM team members. Giovinazzi IAM coming in to run with Carlin Motorsport, Trevor Carlin's team, last year for the first time. The likes of Sean Gallal and Tom Longquist, of course, he finished second in the championship and has now moved on to DTM. I think we're going to get a replay of the start here, Dave.
And it was this that George Russell absolutely needed to nail, because he's on the right side of the circuit for turn one, isn't he? Because of this staggered grid formation here, and he did it absolutely perfectly. He kept Albon at bay and was able to take that first turn and end up in the lead. Here we can see as well, lots of jostling going on behind.
Yeah, it was Medicis going out wide, wasn't it? Jake Dennis with a good move on Leclerc as well into the first hairpin. And that is what happened to Rd6. He got clattered. So Lorandi and Tatiana Calderon with 2 around him. I think he clattered Lorandi's wheel and up onto 2 wheels. Airball moment, but not the worst that we've seen in recent times.
You know, we were saying earlier about Felix Rosenqvist and how luck doesn't always seem to have gone his way.
Yeah.
Well, he's under investigation now for inaccurate grid position.
Oh dear. And this was not what you wanted at all. As a team boss, your 2 cars coming together. Santino Ferrucci, who's not afraid to have a go, the feisty young American, who's just about not a rookie anymore. He did half the season last year, and I suppose until the last couple of rounds you could still argue, although technically he wasn't a rookie, he was really, because he'd not done a full season. He's not afraid to have a go. That was on his teammate Max Gunther. Santino Ferrucci and Max Gunther both have been pushing for podium places in recent times. That was what I caught from the aerial shot. It was a bit of somebody else's bodywork caught up there, I think. Looks like in Callum Ilott's car. In fact, a front wing. And with the Red Bull on it, that's probably his own wing, actually.
Also under investigation, Chris, is Raoul Hyman. Is that for leaving the track and gaining an advantage?
This was when George Russell had a go to get the lead back and then went very deep into the corner. And Alex just nipped back up the inside here to take the position back. And Jake Dennis very nearly got past as well, didn't he? But stayed in 3rd place. Jake with 4 wins this season. A 4th and a 5th here last year, but on a damp track in one of the races last year, he just misjudged his braking point, locked up on slick tyres on a damp inside line into this hairpin and went off. But had good pace here last year. So Felix Rosenqvist up to 5th place. He'll be well pleased with that from the 5th row of the grid. He's got a similar grid position for tomorrow's race. The officials, the marshals, do a good job here to move that car as quickly as they can.
Safety cars coming in this lap, Chris.
Yeah. Didn't take long, did it? So, Alex Albon, whose dad Nigel was a Porsche Carrera Cup racer in the Porsche Asia Series, one of the front runners in that. Raced a Renault 19 British touring cars as well. His son, very impressive this year. He missed a couple of races with an engine drama at Monza, so he's had a few too many DNFs, but he has pretty much in every race shown a very good turn of speed, and now he's nailed the restart. Of course, from his karting days, like most of these drivers coming from karting, they'll be used to rolling starts, so it's not too much of a big deal. It's the standing starts that'll probably take a bit more getting used to. He leads the pack. George Russell 2nd, Jake Dennis 3rd. Slightly different lines there, tighter line for Jake Dennis. Leclerc has dropped back a bit in 4th place, though.
Yes, he has. So now George Russell is going to challenge Albon. He's going to keep with him or try and do so. Albon, of course, will want to create and build as much of a cushion between himself and the P2 driver, George Russell, as he possibly can. And Russell, of course, is right in the middle of a pack there, isn't he, of being of hunting and being hunted as well, because Jake Dennis is ready to pounce, and Leclerc suddenly seems to have got things going again, and he's got Rosenqvist for company too. Yeah,
bit of a lock up there, front right. A bit of a flat spot probably for Felix Rosenqvist.
Who gets a drive-through penalty?
Raoul Hyman, drive-through penalty for leaving the track. So Raoul Hyman, a South African, who's shown some good turns of speed for Westech, will have a drive-through penalty. 2 Mooker cars getting quite close together as well. Once again, this time it's Jensen Gunther. In fact, they're all together, the Mooker cars. Ferrucci, number 5, is 7th. Jensen, number 27, is 8th and has done the fastest first sector of anybody. And the 3rd of the orange cars is Mikkel Jensen in 8th position.
Also getting the drive-through, as I mentioned a moment ago, is Felix Rosenqvist. Look, inaccurate grid position.
Ah, right, yes, above that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was looking at the lower one. Yeah, so Raoul Hyman's in, but yes, you're absolutely right, Felix Rosenqvist. It's getting a drive-through penalty as well after all that work. So, well, rules are rules, I suppose, but he'll feel that's harsh, but it's the same for everybody. Good super slow-mo there. Now, George Russell, we know, he's not afraid to have a go. He is not always qualified the best, as one of the bigger cars goes straight on into the corner. I think that's Ferrucci, because it was the first of the cars. Yep. So Santino off at the hairpin where he went off earlier on. They're coming together with a back marker. And he's going to lose 2 or 3 places. There's Lorandi with damage to the front right from that earlier incident where Ryan Tvetter clattered into him, or they clattered into each other. Dorian Bacalacci is just behind him as well. So Albon leads, Russell second, Dennis third, Leclerc fourth, Giovinazzi in fifth place in this race. And lap time's getting quicker and quicker now as they get used to the dry circuit. The tyre temperatures come up. The gap's 1.1 seconds from first to second. Russell with the win, his very first weekend of the championship at Silverstone. Circuit which he has fond memories of because he won in his first car racing weekend in Formula 4 the year before that. But he's been picking up the points consistently. He's come through in the races more often than not. He's gained positions. He had a super drive through from near the back of the field in one of the races at Silverstone where he had to come in together with Leclerc to prove he can pass. He's done it time and time again, and he got another podium position at Spa, didn't he? So he's done well in fifth in the standings, and he's keeping Jake Dennis with a year's more experience behind him. Charles Leclerc, who ran as a front runner in the Formula Renault Alps Championship, the Swiss Championship, is closing in, I think, on Jake Dennis. Not right with him yet, but they've both pulled clear of Giovinazzi.
And again, in much the same way George Russell has that problem, Jake Dennis has also got a problem as well, in that his rearview mirrors are full of Charles Leclerc, isn't it? Aren't they? And he's going to be very conscious that he's got to try and attack and defend at the same time, which is a big, big ask. And of course, all that's playing into the hands of Alex Albon, who's 1.3 up the road now over George Russell. Jake Dennis, then it's Leclerc, and Giovinazzi is P5.
Take it back about Ferrucci. It wasn't him that went on straight on and locked up at the hairpin a couple of laps ago. It was his teammate, Mikkel Jensen. So Ferrucci's still there, sixth. Gunther, his other Muka teammate, is seventh. That's Stroll making good ground up again in eighth place. Meneses is ninth. Jensen dropped, 4 places down to 10th position. So Ferrucci is now about to join the back of this group here. There he is in fifth place, just crossing the line now. And what's his lap time like? It's very comparable with those ahead, actually. Fastest lap time, though, has just gone to Gustavo Meneses. And there is Brandon Mazzano trying to line up a move and get a place, get himself closer to the top 10. Top 10 score points in this championship. He's trying to go around the outside of Alessio Lorandi. The Italian's got the inside line. He's got to be careful not to run into the back of Sergio Setticamaro. And there's bodywork, there's contact. Hopefully, there won't be too much damage there.
It's lost, isn't it?
Meanwhile, Dave, Alex Albon has begun to get his head down here and pull away. 1.5 seconds clear. There he is. There's Russell second, Dennis third, Leclerc, the championship leader, in fourth place. And once again, 3 of our top 4 are rookies, and this is a replay of what I guess will be the drive-through penalty for Felix Rosenqvist.
And there he goes. I think you're right. I think he'll feel that's very harsh. It does seem to be when his luck's against him, it's against him, isn't it? It seems to have been an awful lot against him. And there's Raoul Hyman. This replay.
Yeah, that was the Ryan Tveter incident, wasn't it? Wheels coming together. And there is Felix Rosenqvist. Will be very glum indeed. It's been a spiky season, hasn't it? Up and down for him. I mean, he's had the most wins. He's had 5 wins. But he was unlucky at the start of the year where, having had 3 pole positions, he got 2 of them taken away from him for a slight miscalculation, a technical infringement. Got badly balked in qualifying at Poe, so he started low down the grid there. And he got nerfed off a couple of times at Spa, didn't he?
Yeah.
Although, you could argue he's trying the outside line a couple of times into Le Comp, which you're always exposing yourself to risk if you do that, and relying on the driver on the inside not to run wide and into you. But that's put him well down the field now, and well out of the points. It's going to be 27th.
Goodness me.
So that will be good news for those just behind him in the championship, like Antonio Giovinazzi. He's only 1 point behind him in the standings.
Whoa!
Oh dear, we have got the Muka car's upside down. That's at the first hairpin, isn't it, by the looks of things now? Let's see what's happened there.
Well, it will be the second safety car of...
Yeah, it's on the exit to the hairpin, just up against the catch fencing. And another upside down Formula 3 car.
My goodness. Well, that's 2 in the space of a week, isn't it? Now,
I think it might be Michele Beretta again, who had one of the big flips at Monza in the same race that Lance Stroll did. Yeah, it is Michele Beretta. I'm all right, he says, but the marshals want to double check.
Yeah.
Which is the right thing to do, because often with the adrenaline you feel like you're all right. You get out of the car, and then once the adrenaline settles away, you realise you're not good. But he says, no, in true Italian fashion, leave me alone, I'm all right, honestly. Stop fussing. But, hairy, scary incident that. He's fuming, isn't he?
Absolutely.
I don't think that was all of his own volition. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look here.
Right. Watch for the orange. Yeah, tagged. Oof.
That was
that Matt Solomon, I think, that clipped wheels with him. Wheels making contact with one another. It's a fairly low-speed corner, but it's still a scary incident. Yeah, it was Matt Solomon. Ooh. Straight into the wall. That's a horrible incident.
Yeah,
it's not that quick, but it's very nasty. I'm really pleased that he's okay. I'll tell you what, Beretta is probably just about had enough of being upside down in this championship. Just passenger at that point, you can't do anything. Doesn't matter what you do with the steering wheel, it's going over. Yeah, that was Solomon, kind of halfway alongside. Solomon's another one that's been told off by the officials in recent times. And he was very lucky. The angle at which he actually made contact with the wall, because the roll cage only really works when you properly go upside down. When you go sideways on into a wall, it's not much use. And Beretta is absolutely furious about that. You can tell, can't you?
Yes.
Horrible
Perhaps not without some justification.
So, not a great display of driving. But before you all get on the bandwagon, earlier on there was a very good standard driving in very difficult conditions, wasn't there?
Yes.
On a wet track, they drove by and large, not everybody, but by and large very well. So I know they've been coming under fire in recent times. So, another safety car. We had discussion earlier, we think there might have only been one race this season where there wasn't a safety car at some point. And I mean at least one safety car. So Alex Albon leads, George Russell is second. Alex had just started to edge clear and get into his stride. Jake Dennis is third, Charles Leclerc is fourth, picking up more points again and again and again. He's barely been out of the points this season. Giovinazzi fifth, Santino Ferrucci going well again in sixth place on a track in which he started last year in wet and damp conditions, having only just come into the championship the round before that. And Max Gunther seventh, Lance Stroll has looked quick this weekend, he's in 8th place. Gustavo Meneses is 9th, and Mikkel Jensen, one of the teammates to this man, Michele Beretta, who thankfully is okay. He's the final driver in the points at the moment, Mikkel Jensen, with Dorian Bacalacci, who lost places early on in the race. 11th, Sergio Sette Camara 12th, Alessio Lorandi 13th. Well, there is Matt Solomon.
I have to say, having seen that car up against the wall, Chris, something that you and I have mentioned earlier on is, fair play to Dallara. I mean, the strength and integrity of his cars is remarkable, isn't it?
It has been tested a fair bit this year, hasn't it?
Yes.
And it's come out on top every time. But let's not keep testing it, eh?
No, that's right.
Sooner or later, the incident will be investigated. The safety car is coming in on this lap, we're told. So good, we're going to get back up to racing speed. Well done, Marshals, again, for clearing that incident pretty quickly. If I was that bird, I'd get out of the way pretty sharpish.
Yes, I think you're right. Now, will George Russell sniff an opportunity now? Because, they're bunched all back up. It's down to Alex Albon now, isn't it, to bunch them up and try and get a bit of a flyer here. Jake Dennis, too, potentially will sniff an opportunity. So Albon then floors it. George Russell, Jake Dennis and Leclerc all try to do the same to stay with them. And as they cross the timing line, the race resumes. We have just under 16.5 minutes left to run, which I think we're going to go to time rather than laps, aren't we?
I think so. Perfect restart once again from Alex Albon. He's got the hang of this, hasn't he? George Russell did his best to stay close. Has indeed pulled himself away from Jake Dennis. So no change inside the top 10 there. Bit of a slight lock up there from Jake Dennis into the shoulder S's. Right then left through this sequence, a very quick flick sequence of corners. One driver that is just going to go hell for leather now and try and get through with nothing to lose. He's going to be Felix Rosenquist, but 26th place. Oh, Leclerc down the inside of Jake Dennis from nowhere. He pulled that, and that was a good move, a very good move. But there again you see, Dave, two good drivers giving each other just enough room. Jake knows there's still time left in this race to get that place back. Didn't turn in on the Monegasque.
No.
And now we'll try and get him back. There you go, into the next corner. That's how you do it. Jake Dennis through. Leclerc gives him the room. And that is how you're supposed to overtake in Formula 3.
And what that's done, of course, as they keep fighting between themselves, is Giovinazzi gets ever closer, doesn't he? And we'll let these two continue to scrap because, of course, that's good for him, although he's got to be aware of the fact that Ferrucci is not far behind him either.
Yeah, absolutely right. Great shot there as they come through. Oh, look up the inside there from Leclerc. Dennis at the line covered. Giovinazzi is another one that's not afraid to have a go. He's pulled off, you know, for the quiet, very likeable Italian. He's got a definite demon streak, Antonio Giovinazzi. He'll stick it in if he gets a chance. Look at Leclerc, though. He feels he's being held up here. Look at this, trying to go around the outside. He'll have the inside line now for the left-hander. And again, Jake Dennis gives him room. Oh, contact just behind. Oh, no. Jake Dennis is sent into a spin. That was Ferrucci going up the inside of Giovinazzi. Contact there, and they were both sent wide into Dennis, who'd had to go out wide because he got Leclerc on the inside of him. This is turning into a desperate weekend for Jake Dennis. And you have to say, he couldn't have done anything about that at all. So I think good Giovinazzi, to be fair.
It's turned into a bit of a safety car show now, isn't it? And Jake Dennis will be so frustrated. I mean, he's had to bounce himself back, hasn't he? And to be enthused about this race. And
yeah. So Ferrucci had a go up the inside. There was contact. He was halfway alongside. Clipped Giovinazzi. They were both sent wide. Jake Dennis was already on a wide line because he got Leclerc going up the inside of him and had done the right thing in giving him room to get through.
Yeah.
And then it was just snowball effect, wasn't it? Here we're going to go get a replay of it. So Leclerc with a really good move there. Dennis squeezes him, but he's sensible, gives him room.
Yes.
So he lets him go. So he's on the outside. But look at the two cars behind now. Giovinazzi, I mean, Ferrucci was a long way back there. He went into the back wheel of Giovinazzi.
And Dennis there completely, you know, he's just caught up in it, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think Giovinazzi could have done a thing about that. He's got to turn the corner, hasn't he? And Ferrucci, I think, tried to back out of it, but it was too late by then. And that is desperately unlucky for Jake Dennis. Desperately unlucky. There are more twists and turns in this championship than you can imagine, aren't there? Yeah. I'm afraid that was a misjudgment by Santino. He's a very good driver. He's a very good racer. You can understand why he was trying the move because there aren't many places to pass here. Giovinazzi, front wing missing, comes into the pit, so he's not going to pick up any points either. So that's Giovinazzi, Rosenqvist and Dennis, second, third and fourth in the championship, who are not going to pick up any points in this one. And guess who is going to pick up points? Again, Charles Leclerc keeps picking them up. Doesn't win all the races, but he's up there all the time.
Oh, there's Jake Dennis, look, and
cannot believe it.
We were talking just a little while ago about Felix Rosenqvist and luck, weren't we?
Jake has been quite verbal about some of the driving standards lower down the field.
Muppetry was a word he used in one highlights programme, I seem to recall.
He's only 18, but he's already talking about the driving standards of the kids. But, you know, he's got this extra year. It's not just this year. He's had a few seasons in cars now with Intersteps and Formula Renault. So, a misjudgment there. I don't think there was anything malicious about it, but it was a misjudgment. And Jake was the innocent bystander, I'm afraid. But
Kammer Hockenheim, you know, he's going to rue that probably, isn't he?
Well, I mean, the worst thing you do is now go through and add up all the points that have been dropped because it'll do your head in. It's hard, but he's got to forget about it. He's got to think, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'll try and get to the front of the grid, and maybe others will have problems as well. Yeah, he doesn't want to look at Santino when he's talking to him, does he? So unlikely for Rosenqvist to get any points, nor Giovinazzi. Definitely not for Dennis. And it's not going to be well, it might not be a win. It doesn't look like it's going to be a win, but it's certainly going to be another 15 points for Charles Leclerc. And what's he had now? Just 2 races without any points. A 12th place at the very first race at Silverstone, where, to be fair, he came from the back of the field because he had a coming together with George Russell, who's there in second place, had a puncture, almost got in the points, and then a retirement at Monza, where he was he had a coming together with Jake Dennis, actually. But those are the only 2 times he hasn't scored points this season.
Safety car in this lap. The lights are out on the safety car, so racing will resume with just about 10 minutes left to run, Chris. So lock up there from Olban as he tries to get away and restart this race.
Despite the damage to his car, Alessio Lorandi is now up into the points. He's in 10th place, the Italian. The very likeable Italian. So one Italian drops out. Another gets in there, and here comes Charles Leclerc. He's looking racy, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's picking his moments. He'll try the exit. He can't get through on the entry, but George Russell gets a good run out of the corner. Good positioning of the car there from George, the BRDC Autosport McLaren Award winner. And he's in 2nd place, looking for his 2nd best result of the season, to close the gap to several drivers ahead of him in the point standings as well. So Albon leads, Russell 2nd, Leclerc 3rd, Gunther 4th, Lance Stroll, he's had a bit of stick this year, some of it justly, in 5th place. He's quick, you've got to give him that. He's a very quick driver. Front runner in the Toyota Racing Series, he won that over the winter. Front runner in Italian F4, and 6th place is Menezes.
He's in the Ferrari Driving Academy as well. Do you know what I mean? They don't
just pick anybody, do they?
No.
He's certainly got a good turn of speed, that's for sure.
Well, as we look at that high shot collection of 3 Formula 3 cars up there, as we see some slide out. And thankfully, no damage done and no one else collected there. And pretty sure that's Moreno.
Julio Moreno, yeah, the Ecuadorian. With the spin. Who else we got in the points? Boccolacci's back in the points in 8th. Sergio Sette Camara hadn't had a sniff of a points up until Spa. Got the podium there. He's in 9th place. Lorandi is 10th. And in 11th place, Brandon Mazzano. And 12th, Tatiana Calderon, looking for her first points of the season. She had a really strong second half of the year last year. She switched teams to Carlin, and it hasn't gone her way for whatever reason so far this season, although she led on a drying track on wet tyres at Spa. But this could be a real chance of points for her. She was in 14th place before the safety car came out in race 1 as well, but never got a chance to come through. And if, Dave, she's 11th with a lap to go, she might as well have a go. That's Pietro Fittipaldi with, oh dear, one of the Muka cars involved in that as well.
Is this the 3rd or 4th safety car? I've lost count, Chris. I think it's the 3rd, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they're both okay. But Fittipaldi is out. That's Kang Ling, the other driver.
Yeah. The
Chinese driver who's had 1 or 2 incidents this year as well. One thing you know, as the organiser of these events, is that you better make sure you put plenty of fuel into the safety car for a Formula 3 race, because it will get used. Oh dear. Well, Pietro Fittipaldi's had some strong runs this season. Very impressed with the way he went at Monza, because just before that he broke his hand in a practice incident at Po. Now, what happened here? Oh, it was Pietro's fault, actually. So he nerfed into the Westec car, and Kang Ling, in all fairness to him,
had nowhere to
go. No, he almost stopped the car. It was a gentle touch, but yeah, it was Fabian Schiller that got clipped from Fittipaldi. I think one of the issues is that there aren't many places to pass here, and when you get a chance, I mean, they are knocking a lot of speed off into that hairpin, aren't they? Just trying to slow the cars down. Safety car back out. 4th safety car.
And Giovinazzi is under investigation for overtaking during the safety car operation.
Which he was under investigation for in the race earlier on, but they let him off. That went no further. Sam McLaren with a bit of...
That is part of Sam McLaren's car.
His car missing, yeah. Sam, who was front runner in British F3 last year, 4th in the championship. He's not in the points at the moment. He's in 15th place. So a very gentle collision. It won't take long to clear up. There's only 5 3/4 minutes left on the clock, though.
And quite a collection of cars in the middle there now, isn't there, Chris?
I'd have thought a couple more laps. I suppose you know what you're letting yourself in for if you volunteer to be a marshal at the Grundig hairpin at the Norisring. A busy day.
Yeah.
And not just in F3, to be fair. Big Tatiana Calderon up too much because she dropped a place. Marcus Pommer got ahead of her in 12th position, so she's 13th now. Matt Rao having one of his best runs in 14th. One of the stars of British Formula Ford a few years ago. McLeod, as I said, in 15th place. Rosenquist is 21st, but it needs a miracle now.
Yeah, it's going to be pointless, isn't it?
Well, saves walking back to the pits anyway, doesn't it? There won't be. I don't think there'll be much damage at all to Gangling's car. But yeah, he hit a brick wall there, didn't he? Got nowhere to go at all. Very artistic shot there from the car, which is being craned up. Fittipaldi's car, son of the double Formula 1 world champion Emerson Fittipaldi, who, when he won his first title in '72 for Lotus, was at the time the youngest ever Formula 1 champion at 25. Not anymore, of course. He's the 4th youngest driver to win a title.
Safety cars coming in, we're told, this lap, Chris.
So there'll be 3 odd minutes to go. 3 laps, probably. Maybe 4. Alex Albon, now well versed at this restart malarkey.
Absolutely.
Knows exactly what to do, doesn't he? Leclerc might be one to watch here. He's definitely got the pace to attack Russell. And Russell will have an eye on the mirrors as much as an eye on the man ahead, I suspect here.
Yes.
But you know Leclerc, he won't take any stupid risks. Touch wood. Here we go then, the race restarts. I think we'll get 4 laps out of this, just about. Look at Leclerc in 3rd place. He's getting onto the tail now of George Russell. Russell hogs the inside line to the outside. Then goes Charles Leclerc. He's in front, but he's on the wrong line for the corner. Russell knows this, sticks to the middle of the road. Leclerc can't get through, and that actually spurs George Russell into attack mode as he goes over the curbs and almost touches wheels with Alex Albon, who's got the inside line. Look at this though, George Russell goes for it. He's got the lead of the race. What a move. Wow, I don't think we've seen anybody passing at the Charles S's. He was sort of forced his hand there because Leclerc made him go for it in a way. But Russell has pulled off a great move, and now Leclerc goes to the inside, and suddenly Alex Albon might find himself down in 3rd place here, having led the whole of the race.
So Albon then and Leclerc absolutely side by side. George Russell tries to make his escape up the road, but he's got Charles Leclerc for company now, and Charles Leclerc dives to the inside, Chris.
Whoa, he's gone for it. Similar move that he pulled off on Jake Dennis. Look at Albon down the inside. Wow! And look, Max Gunther's going to get past everybody and into the lead of the race. I've got no voice as it is, Dave. I could do without this, to be honest, but then again, I did ask for a race finish, and we're going to get one.
You bet. Well, of course, you know, Gunther was just in that position, wasn't he, to allow them to fight, and he was going to always pick up the pieces, and he just rubbed his hands with invisible soap at that opportunity, didn't he?
Off you go, you.
I'm coming through.
Well, Alex Albon 2nd, Charles Leclerc. Look at George Russell. I'm not finishing off the podium, he says, not after all this. I led 30 seconds ago. How can I possibly be off the podium? Menace's having a strong run as well.
Yeah.
And Lance Stroll, he's in there with a fight. Just under 2 minutes to go. Couple of laps left in the race. It's Gunther that leads, looking for his maiden victory to become the 6th different winner of the season. Look at this from Lance Stroll. That's a good move. He's got down the inside, trying to go with him is Gustavo Meneses. And that's a good move from Lance Stroll. He gains another place. So we've had several different leaders in the restart now, haven't we? Gunther, Albon led most of the race. Leclerc went into the lead. Russell led very briefly. Alessio Lorandi still going well there at the tail end of the top 10. And here you go, Dave. This is where it all kicked off. Albon just went for it, didn't he? So late on the brakes. There was a bit of contact between Leclerc and Russell. And Max Gunther just let them all go wide. It was like the parting of the waves. And through he went.
Absolutely, yep.
He's going to start the last lap of the race now as the race leader. Gustavo Meneses coming under fire from Mikkel Jensen. And the Muka Motorsport driver has got the inside line. He's got the mind for the corner. He's knowing what he's doing. And he pulls off the move. Meneses drifts wide, and Boccolacci will try and get past him, but he can't. So just about half a lap to go now. Max Gunther from 4th to 1st. A couple of laps ago, Alex Albon will be annoyed, but also it could have been worse. It could have been off the podium. Larassi squeezing through to get a place up to 9th on Sergio Sette Camara, who might not finish in the points now. But Max Gunther coming through. Charles Leclerc has had a couple of big goes here. They didn't all quite pay off for him, but yet again, anyway, he's going to pick up good points for 3rd place.
Yes, you're absolutely right. He is. So one more lap to be done as they cross the timing line now.
Gunther's just got to keep cool now. Had a second place finish at Po, the final race of the weekend, after coming close to getting podiums at Hockenheim. Remember, at Hockenheim he had a spin on a damp track on the last lap of the race, which cost him a podium. He got out of a podium place late on in one of the races at Po. He finally got there, and he has qualified well on many occasions this season, and he was there to pick up the pieces when those ahead of him started battling each other with a quick bit of thinking. So Max Gunther is about to become the 6th different winner of the season. He's got half a second advantage now over Alex Albon. Charles Leclerc is third. There is the checkered flag. Max Gunther takes a delighted victory, his first in the Formula 3 European Championship in his first season of the contest. Great drive, great bit of opportunism. Alex Albon will be pleased, I think, with second. It's a good result in hindsight, but when you led most of the race, he'll always be a little bit rueful, but he's got another chance from pole position tomorrow.
Yes.
And then we have Charles Leclerc third, Lance Stroll fourth. George Russell will be a bit miffed about all this in fifth place. Mikkel Jensen is sixth, and the top 6 drivers are all rookies.
Extraordinary. So Max Gunther then, who is thrilled with that first win, making his way back to the pit lane now. And, well, he was just there to take advantage of them scrapping ahead. And that's why, I guess, Chris, just on occasions it pays to let the fight battle out in front of you rather than getting too involved.
Just had that bit of space, didn't he?
Yep.
And Max shows real emotion and passion here as he crosses the line. 2 hands in the air, punching the air with delight. Well chuffed. And good news for Amuka Motorsport as well, who had a bit of a tough season last year. Ended well at Macau with the victory of Felix Rosenquist. But it was a below par year for them, although Lucas Auer, who's now moved on to DTM, had a reasonable championship in 4th place. But they struggled with the car last year. This year it is much more competitive. The Mercedes engine, it's a good package, it always has been. The Berlin-based team get that victory, their first of the season. And that's done 2 things now. It's bunched up 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th in the championship. But so far today, Charles Leclerc has been the main beneficiary. He's edged away from all of his close rivals. His nearest rivals all failing to score points in that race. Look at that. You're going to have a grin like a Cheshire cat when he gets that helmet off, isn't he? Which will be great to see. One of several very tall drivers in the championship this year. He's gone well in recent times. He was twice the runner-up in the ADAC Formula Masters, the German single-seater championship last year. The year before, he was the runner-up in the Formula BMW Talent Cup. So he hasn't won a major title, but he's come close, and he's got real potential. Just 17 years of age, comes from Bavaria. Not a million miles from this part of the world.
Gonna need more than one low loader, I'm afraid, aren't they? For that.
It's the last race of the day, I think.
Yes.
We're hoping to get some supper. It might be a bit late now for the marshals, and even later, I'm afraid, for the teams. We've got to prepare for another race tomorrow.
Max Gunther, then the winner, Alexander Albon, P2, P3, Charles Leclerc, then Lance Stroll, George Russell, Mikkel Jensen, Gustavo Menezes, Bucalacci, and that the top 8. The rest of the order then on screen for you. And we'll be heading up to the podium very soon. And we lost really rather too many cars in that, didn't we?
Yeah. All at the hairpin, wasn't it? All that first corner.
Yes.
Sort of predictable, really. On well, any hairpin's always a bit tight. But here, with that very long run into it, it's the main opportunity to pass. And 1 or 2 misjudgments out there. Very pleased, though, that Michele Beretta is okay after, or at least physically okay after all of that. So Charles Leclerc leads the rookie standings, leads the overall championship. A win and a 3rd place today. And pulled off a couple of good moves as well, didn't he? Very briefly led. 2nd place to Alex Albon, who led the vast majority of the race. And had it not been for the safety car restarts, particularly the last one, probably would have won that because he was edging away from them. Still, it's a good result for him. And the win, you feel, is definitely going to come in the not too distant future, maybe tomorrow. Max Gunther was there, quick thinking, good opportunism, and in a mad moment he got through into the lead of the race from 4th position. So one thing this championship is not, Dave, is predictable. And it's never dull.
You're absolutely right there. That's an understatement.
There he is, Max Gunther. A huge grin on his face. Well done, Max. He's been impressive at times this year. And he takes the top step of the podium. Second position will be Alex Albon. Here he is. Yeah, definitely a bit disappointed there. Understandably so. But if in your first season, your first few weekends of Formula 3 racing at this level, you're disappointed with second place, shows how good you are, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And there he is, Charles Leclerc. Well, he's always quick to congratulate the others. He's a good sportsman, is Charles. There's Peter Milka, his team's first win of the season. And now we'll have the German national anthem. Well done to our race winner, Maximilian Gunther. That will be the same top 3 for the rookie podium as well, so I might just give them all the trophies now. Kisses the trophy. It's great to see the joy on his face, isn't it?
Yes.
Wish Formula 1 drivers would be a bit happy when they win races, to be honest, and share this sort of passion. Anfred Sandbichler from Hankook. They provide all the tyres. Yep, they do indeed present 2 trophies, the winner's trophy, the rookie trophy. And yeah, do feel a little bit sorry for Alex Albon there. He's definitely a bit glum about this. He's a very cheery, very positive young man.
He is. But
when he got so close to a win.
Yeah, and he had so many safety cars thrown at him. How many times did he have to restart that race effectively? Which he did with aplomb every time.
Yeah, he didn't really do anything wrong, to be fair to him. There you go, Alex. You'll reflect on this in a much more positive light in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, he gets a smile.
Yeah.
It won't matter tomorrow if you win, Alex. You won't be too displeased. Charles Leclerc, whether he's first, second, third or fourth, always looks the same, doesn't he?
Yes.
Wolfgang Schossler from the local motorsport club.
Yes.
He wanted to win that one, Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
Just think about the points. At the end of the season, Charles, they won't really care how many wins you got. They'll see who's the champion, and
Absolutely.
if it's you, it won't really matter, will it? Good solid weekend for Mr. Cool, Charles Leclerc. Well done. Alex is starting to enjoy this a bit more now, his podium. It's only the second time he's been up there on the overall podium. Well done all 3 drivers. I mean, at the front of the field, there was some great dicing, some great overtaking, and some great respect shown between the drivers as well.
Yes, you're right. He is Mr. Cool. He's beyond Mr. Cool, isn't he?
Well done, Muka Motorsport. Still, it's to bed early tonight, boys, because you've got race 3 coming up tomorrow morning. So you can't enjoy it too much, but we won't take anything away from Max Gunther. Others had misfortune, but he was there when it mattered.
Yes.
Ollie Sittler there was going to grab a word with our race winner, Max Gunther. A German back on the top step of the podium in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. As the sun begins to set here at the Norisring on day 1 of the event, the 6th weekend of the championship in 2015, and what is becoming a very intriguing championship. So points updated, and wow, 54.5 points clear now is Charles Leclerc. Felix Rosenqvist is still second. It could have been worse because Giovinazzi and Dennis, of course, dropped out then. And Max Gunther's up to 5th in the standings now, just ahead of George Russell, Alex Albon with a decent day as well in 7th place. Lance Stroll, Mikkel Jensen and Brandon Massano got into the points earlier on in the top 10 in the championship as well. We'll have to be careful, Dave, because they're in danger of letting Charles Leclerc run away with this at the moment. He's got the consistency that nobody else seems to be able to get, whether or not it's their own fault.
Absolutely. Yes, you're right. So, as we see, Gunther then really enjoying that. And a very, very special moment indeed for him. He was able to seize the opportunity when it was presented in front of him, and fair play to him for being in the position to be able to do that. And, yeah, the joy is clear to see. Another race to come, of course, tomorrow from the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And, well...
What will the weather bring? It's starting to blow up a proper gale now, so
Jolly well is.
I think we might be having some more rain here tonight. Whether we'll get a wet race, a dry race or a damp race, one thing you can be sure of, though, is that it will be entertaining. Dave Richardson and me, Chris Hartley, here in the commentary box, hoping that you've enjoyed our coverage today of the championship. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.